So, it is Monday, and next Wednesday I need to be hauling a trailer for like 5 hours. So it's time to get this really finished up. I started making this little jig. It does look very crude. It is all scrap metal, but I'm hoping that it'll hold that flywheel in place so I can get those bolts broke loose and swap from this flex plate to a flywheel. I'm going to work on actually getting this in the frame right now because I need to remove this clutch fan and that bearing back there and the harmonic balancer so I can replace the water pump as well. I have a few bits of new fuel hose to replace things like that braided one there that's all cracked, and the return fuel system with this small diameter hose right here. So it's time to get to work. Well, well, we have the new engine in Norman's frame, and that's awesome. If you can recall, I blocked that up to get the transmission higher than the mount for sliding the tranny back together. I did get this downpipe all bolted on, so I'm hoping that my little jig will work for that side of the bell housing just as well as that side because they don't fit together. Otherwise, I'll just break it apart and try it again before I weld it up real good. It's working. I twisted it a little bit before I finally got it to go, but if I just bounce on the breaker bar and hope I don't break the breaker bar, things are popping loose. That's 3 out of 8. But it's working. There they are. So the water pump is that one right there where that lower radiator hose hooks into, and also this little drop tube from the thermostat bracket. But to get it off, I need to get that harmonic balancer off. And it takes a 36 millimeter 12-point socket. I'm sure everybody has one of those in their toolbox. I was able to get that on Amazon for, I don't know, like $13 on Prime. So, not too bad. Well, there. That breaker bar worked great. I like that big handle that's on there. That's nice too. The good news though is that that's not a press fit, it's keyed, and it slips off pretty easy. So that's a bonus. Now I can get to this water pump. See, there was one screw back there, it looks like a stud and a nut, that was in the way with that harmonic balancer in. Well, the water pump is out. Takes those, there's 2 nuts on the back side of that pipe There's 2 bolts and a nut that need to come off there, and the whole assembly comes off, and then these 3 screws hold the water pump into the housing. Now there's a little bit of gray silicone all over everything, and I saw it when I was taking it apart. So obviously this water pump is not stock, but I don't know how old it is. I already have one. I went through all the work to get the crank bolt out, so I figured I might as well just do it, so that way I know it's new. Okay, so I've got the water pump put back together, and I put some RTV on there, and now it's already tacked up because I've been screwing around with the upper O-ring on the coolant bypass pipe. Alright, I've gone through a bunch of different O-rings looking, and the one that fits the best right there is that one there on the left. The one on the right is how swollen it is when I take it out. It's crazy. One size up from there, it just blows past, but that one right there stretched over that coolant bypass tube works beautifully, and there's room for 2 of them, so I'm going to just put 2 on and then put some of that RTV in there. But it's just mind-boggling how big that has swollen up, but that's what it takes to make it work. Don't plan on this ever needing to come apart, but I did apply a liberal amount of anti-seize on that crank snout just in case. Starting to look a little bit more like an engine. I replaced a couple of the pulleys that were making some noise. This one still sounds like it's got plenty of life left in it. And this pulley actually came off of Norman. The donor engine, that pulley had quite a bit of slop, and that's why I thought it was a water pump, but I ended up being wrong. So power steering pump is back on as well, and next we'll be replacing some of these not so kosher looking fuel lines, and then I can get that upper harness put back together and keep working on all the accessories that make this thing run. So it's about time to put these up pipes on, and I have the driver's side one, and I've got little anti-seize on all the screws, and I have chased all of this the tapped holes in the manifold and the turbo. So I mentioned that there's going to be a surprise coming tonight, and Peacemaker Jack and Coulter Caleb and their family, they all came from Wisconsin, and they're traveling around for a little bit, but they're here for a couple days, so we're going to do some wrenching. Before we get to work, I do want to point out that these KB Diesel downpipes, or the KB Diesel downpipe and the set of up pipes have an awesome fit and finish. Now, this 3-inch downpipe does have a warning that says that it might need some trimming or clearancing with the dipstick, but because this is a stick shift truck, I don't have that problem. So these are just awesome pieces. I'm really happy to have them. Well, there we have it. This engine looks more like an engine now, with the harness in place. Everything's doing really good, coming together. I need to get a coolant hose to hook up from the turbo and to this crossover pipe here. Both of the tubes that I had were really mushy. But otherwise, the engine is pretty much set. Next, we will work on that flywheel, getting that put on and getting the clutch all aligned so we can install the transmission.